cosmic encounter, the observation deck of Station Helios, offered the most breathtaking view of Jupiter's swirling storms. But Delia Hawthorne wasn't looking at the gas giant. Her attention was fixed on the being standing across the room, tall and lithe, with skin that shimmered between deep blue and violet. Navarro was unlike any creature she'd encountered in her 15 years as an astronaut. The alien diplomat had arrived with the celestial delegation 2 days ago, and this reception was humanity's first informal meeting with their kind. Delia found herself staring at the elegant movements of his six-fingered hands as he conversed with Admiral Jackson. When Navarro's iridescent eyes suddenly locked with hers, Delia looked away too late. She pretended to study her drink, but when she glanced up again, he was moving toward her with fluid grace. "You have been observing me for precisely 7 minutes," he said, his voice like velvet over stone. "I find human curiosity ... refreshing." Delia felt heat rise to her cheeks. "I apologize. That was rude of me." "Not at all. I have been watching you as well." His mouth didn't move when he spoke. Instead, the crystalline structures along his neck pulsed with soft light. "You are different from the others." "Less afraid. I've spent most of my life in space," she replied. "The unknown stopped scaring me a long time ago." Navarro tilted his head. "Yet you still feel wonder." "I sense it. You can sense emotions. Some, yours are ... vibrant." He moved closer, the scent of something like cinnamon and starlight emanating from him. "They call you Captain Hawthorne, yes? The pilot who navigated the asteroid field of Ceres without computer assistance?" Delia smiled. "You've done your research. It is my duty to understand those I meet." His eyes, multifaceted like diamonds, caught the light. "Though I find myself wanting to understand you beyond duty," something in his tone made her pulse quicken. The diplomatic mission was supposed to last 6 months, establishing the first formal relations between humans and the Celestials. Fraternization wasn't explicitly forbidden, but it certainly wasn't encouraged. "The Admiralty might not approve of such understanding," she said carefully. "The Admiralty is not here." Navarro leaned closer. And Delia noticed he smelled slightly of ozone and honey. "Right now, it is just you and I between worlds." She noticed him staring at her, scare a jagged line running from her collarbone to her shoulder, visible above her uniform. Rather than looking away as humans often did, he studied it with appreciation. "A beautiful mark of survival," he murmured. "Most people pretend not to see it." Navarro's neck crystals pulsed with amber light. "I would never pretend with you, Captain." He leaned closer, his voice dropping to a whisper. "Don't pretend you're not tempted by what lies beyond your stars." Delia felt something shift between them, gravity neither could escape. "And what exactly am I tempted by?" His answer came in a smile that wasn't quite a smile, but a shimmer of light across his features. "Discovery. The unknown. The possibility that your kind and mine might find more than just diplomatic relations." As the reception continued around them, Delia realized she was standing at the edge of something vast and uncharted, more mysterious than any space she'd ever explored. Silent language 2 weeks after the reception. Delia found herself assigned as liaison to the celestial delegations, specifically to Navarro. Admiral Jackson had noticed their interaction and decided her apparent comfort with the alien dignitary made her perfect for the role. The Admiral didn't know was how that comfort had evolved into something more complex during their daily meetings. Today, they sat in the botanical gardens, earth plants mingling with specimens from the Celestials' homeworld. "Your species communicates so differently from mine," Navarro observed, watching her hands as she spoke. "You rely on sound and gesture, while we use bioluminescence and electromagnetic pulses," Delia finished. "I've been studying your language patterns." His neck crystals flashed with surprise. "Have you now?" She responded by tapping a pattern on her wrist device. The small transmitter sent a simple pulse sequence, one she'd coded herself. Navarro's crystals brightened into light. "He said hello," he said, "though your accent is ... unusual." Delia laughed. "I'm still learning." "Why would you take the time to learn our ways when your translators work adequately?" She gazed at the strange flora around them, blue vines that reached toward invisible light sources, translucent flowers that hummed with gentle vibrations. Because translators only convert words, not meaning. She hesitated. And because I wanted to understand you better. Navarro moved closer, the temperature around him noticeably warmer. Understanding leads to dangers, Captain Hawthorne. Delia, she corrected. And what dangers would those be? His eyes shimmered. Your military command views our people's relationship as strategic. Emotional entanglements complicate strategies. Is that what this is? An entanglement. Instead of answering, Navarro reached toward her, stopping just short of touching her face. May I? When she nodded, his fingers brushed her cheek with surprising warmth. Images flooded her mind's stars, seen from an alien perspective, oceans with twin moons reflected in their depths, feelings of curiosity, fascination, desire. She gasped, pulling back. What was that? Apologies, he said. Touch telepathy is how my kind shares deeper thoughts. I should have warned you. No, it's Delia felt breathless. It's incredible. A warning chime sounded through the garden. Their time was up. The diplomatic briefing would start soon. As they walked back toward the conference rooms, Navarro spoke quietly. The delegation is concerned about humanity's military presence in the Epsilon sector. Delia frowned. It's a standard patrol route. It's not to my superiors. They see weapons where you claim to see protection. Their hands brushed as they walked. Another flash of images, tension, worry, growing mistrust among the celestial leaders. We should be careful, Navarro said as they approached the meeting rooms where others waited. There are those on both sides who would view our connection as ... problematic. Delia glanced at him. And how do you view it? His crystals pulsed once, softly, in a pattern she was beginning to recognize. Longing was the most valuable discovery of my diplomatic career, he whispered, and perhaps the most dangerous. Forbidden protocol? The emergency klaxons woke Delia at 0300 hours. She was pulling on her uniform when her communication panel flashed with a priority message not from command, but from Navarro. Using their private channel, meet me at Observatory Platform 7. Urgently. Station corridors were filled with personnel rushing to stations. Something serious had happened. When she reached the observatory, Navarro was waiting, his normally iridescent skin dulled with concern. What's happening? She asked. A celestial scout ship was destroyed near the asteroid belt. Your military vessels fired upon it without warning. Delia's stomach dropped. That's impossible. We have protocols. Protocols fail when fear governs actions, Navarro said sharply. Then, seeing her expression, his tone softened. My delegation is preparing to leave. They believe this was a deliberate act of aggression, and you. What do you believe? His crystals pulsed in the pattern she now recognized as frustration. I believe there is more happening than either of our governments are revealing. Delia moved to the observation window, staring at the distant curve of Earth. 3 months of careful diplomacy, of building trust, erased in an instant. I need to access the command logs, she said. If our ships fired, there would be records. Navarro approached, standing close enough that she could feel the electric hum of his presence. Such access would violate your military regulations. Yes. You would risk your career. She turned to face him. I would risk more than that for the truth. His hand found hers, the now familiar rush of shared consciousness flowing between them. This time, she was prepared, pushing her own thoughts forward, determination, trust, and something deeper she wasn't ready to name. When they separated, Navarro's eyes had darkened to deep violet. There is something I must show you. He removed a crystalline device from his robes and activated it. A hologram appeared, a recording from the destroyed scout ship. The footage clearly showed it was not a human military vessel that had attacked, but a ship of unknown design. A third party, Delia whispered. Someone wants our alliance to fail. The delegation won't believe this without verification from your people. Delia straightened her shoulders. Then we'll get that verification. What followed was a desperate race against time, Delia, slicing through military firewalls, while Navarro used his diplomatic codes to access restricted communications. They worked in perfect synchronicity, her human ingenuity complementing his alien perception. When Admiral Jackson found them, they had already transmitted their findings to both governments. "Captain Hawthorne," he said coldly, "you realize this constitutes treason." Navarro stepped forward. "She has prevented a war, Admiral. That's not your determination to make." Jackson's eyes narrowed. "Neither of yours." Later, confined to quarters awaiting court-martial, Delia received one final message from Navarro before communication was cut. "Whatever comes next, know that among my people, those who bridge worlds are called sci-fiseries, pathfinders of light. You are Sathari, Delia Hawthorne, and you have illuminated my existence in ways I never imagined possible." She pressed her hand to the screen, knowing he could not feel her response, yet hoping somehow he would know her heart echoed his. Stellar Crossroads, the hearing room was sterile and cold, with 12 stern-faced officers sitting in judgment. For 3 days, Delia had testified about her actions, explaining how she and Navarro had uncovered evidence of a third species attempting to sabotage relations between humans and Celestials. "Captain Hawthorne," General Rivera said, "while your intentions may have been noble, your methods violated at least 7 security protocols. With respect, General, sometimes protocols must yield to greater imperatives." A murmur ran through the panel. Admiral Jackson leaned forward. "And was your relationship with the celestial diplomat among those greater imperatives?" Before she could answer, the doors opened. Navarro entered, flanked by 2 celestial elders. His presence caused immediate tension. No aliens had been permitted in these proceedings before. "Forgive the interruption," he said, his voice carrying that musical quality that still made Delia's heart race. "But I bring new evidence." The elder celestial stepped forward. "Our deep space arrays have identified the hostile vessels. They are Vortian species known to us for their practice of instigating conflict between potential allies, then scavenging the technology of both after they destroy each other." Screens around the room activated, showing detailed scans of the unknown ships. General Rivera studied them with narrowed eyes. "Why should we trust this information?" "Because," Navarro said, "the Vortians have now directly attacked one of your colonies in the Tau system." The room erupted in chaos as emergency protocols engaged. Delia found herself standing beside Navarro in the midst of the commotion. "You risked coming back," she said quietly. His crystals pulsed with the pattern she had come to recognize as affection. "I would risk far more for you, for us, for what we represent." "What is that exactly?" "Hope, possibility." His eyes met hers. "A future neither of our kinds imagined." Admiral Jackson interrupted them. "Captain Hawthorne, your hearing is suspended. We need experienced officers on the front lines, sir. You're reinstated, effective immediately. Report to the Intrepid." And he glanced between her and Navarro. "Your celestial friend has been assigned as diplomatic liaison to your ship. Try to maintain some professional distance this time." When Jackson walked away, Delia turned to Navarro. "How did you manage that?" A shimmer passed over his features, the celestial equivalent of a smile. "I merely suggested that those who bridge worlds might be precisely what we need in a crisis." "Sathvarai," she whispered. "Yes." His fingers brushed hers briefly. "Pathfinders of light," as they prepared to board the ship that would carry them into an uncertain future. Delia realized that what had begun as curiosity had evolved into something. Neither human nor celestial vocabulary could fully capture a connection that transcended species, protocol, and perhaps even the stars themselves. Interstellar harmony, the battle against the Vortian ships had been brutal but decisive. Standing on the bridge of the Intrepid, Delia watched as the last enemy vessel retreated beyond sensor range. Beside her, Navarro's crystals pulsed with the rhythms of relief and exhaustion. "We actually did it," she said softly. "Together," he replied. "As neither of us could have done alone, the past 3 weeks had transformed them both. Working in perfect synchronicity, they developed battle strategies that merged human intuition with celestial perception, creating defensive patterns the Vortians couldn't predict. What had begun as a diplomatic crisis had evolved into the first true cooperation between their species." Admiral Jackson's face appeared on the main screen. "Captain Hawthorne, the Joint Council, requests your presence, both of you, for the treaty signing." When the transmission ended, Delia turned to Navarro. Ready to make history? His crystals shimmered with amusement. I believe we already have. The observation deck had been transformed for the ceremony. Representatives from both species gathered as the human president and celestial high chancellor prepared to sign the first formal alliance between their worlds before the proceedings began. Delia and Navarro found a quiet moment alone, watching the stars through the vast windows. What happens after this? She asked. You'll return to your homeworld, I suppose. That depends, Navarro said, his voice carrying an unusual hesitancy. On what? On whether you would consider a more permanent cultural exchange. Delia raised an eyebrow. What kind of cultural exchange? His crystals pulsed with the pattern she now recognized: intimately, desire, hope, love. He reached for her hand, and this time the telepathic connection flowed easily between them. She saw images of them together, exploring stars neither species had reached, building something new between their worlds. The Council has approved a joint exploration initiative, he said. The first of its kind. They need commanders who understand both perspectives. Us, she whispered, double quotes us. His fingers intertwined with hers. If you want it. The ceremony began around them, voices speaking of cooperation and shared futures. But in their private moment, Delia and Navarro had already begun writing their own. Agreement 1 made not of diplomatic language, but of shared consciousness and hearts that had found each other. Across the void of space. I want it, she said finally. I want all of it. As the alliance was formalized and applause filled the room, Navarro leaned closer, his voice soft against her ear. Then let us become pathfinders together. Later, as the celebration continued, they stood at the observation window. The stars stretched before them countless worlds, waiting to be discovered by those who had learned to see beyond differences. Navarro's hand found hers once more. Don't pretend you're not tempted, he whispered, echoing their first conversation. Delia smiled. I'm done with pretending, she said, turning to face him. And I've never been more tempted by anything in my life. Their future would not be without challenges to species learning too. Navigate not just the stars, but the complexities of a connection neither had imagined possible. Yet as they stood together between worlds yet belonging to both, they had already proven that the greatest discoveries often begin with a single moment of curiosity and the courage to look beyond the known universe.